All right, here we are. Rick Kamla and Steve Alexander, FSWA Hall of Famer, a.k.a. I think he went whoosh with the haterade, okay? He is ready for battle here, and battle we will have, okay? Because we want to help our listeners here, Doc, build their draft boards and make their draft day decisions. On this episode, we're going to be debating players with similar ADPs based on Yahoo average draft positions and tell you guys who are higher that we are higher on between those two guys. So it's basically player versus player. And let's start right at the top here. Okay, Victor Wembanyama has an ADP of 1.5. Nikola Jokic has an ADP of 1.9. Is this even a debate for you, Dr. A?
For me, it is not. But when I put this poll up on Twitter, who are you taking, Nikola or Wemby? It was like 50-50. It was right down the middle. And I think there were 300 votes, and it was basically like 149 to 151 or something. I'm all in on Wemby, obviously. He's my guy. Jokic is not my guy. This is a perfect example. Actually, the first three of these that we're going to do, I mean, it's my guys against everybody else. So it's easy for me to argue that. And, maybe I'm not getting as deep into the numbers as people would like for me to, but I don't need to because Wemby is a monster. He only played 29 minutes a game last year. They didn't run plays for him. He didn't have Chris Paul throwing him lobs. He didn't get hurt like everybody said he was going to. He didn't really get popped very much. He got popped a little bit. There were times he missed games that it ticked me off, and there were
remember when
times...
he stepped on the foot of the Maverick employee that was standing on the baseline? Do you remember that? And he turned his ankle?
Yeah, and they babied him for like 2 weeks after that.
Like, what was up with the Maverick employee with his big old foot out there? That was crazy to me.
That was like when Larry David tripped Shaq in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes.
And Shaq was in the hospital getting his knee rebuilt, and I think Larry gave him the entire Seinfeld collection on VHS or something.
He did, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what that was about. And just the fact that Wemby played last year and now he's got Chris Paul. I mean, the only question to me is, are the Spurs going to go for it all this year, or are they going to put in their time this year and then really go for it next year? But you got Chris Paul there. What it wasn't our trivia question the other day, like who had a number one season, wasn't it? Chris Paul had like 3 number one seasons, and he's just going to be throwing the ball up in the air to this guy that nobody can stop. I am all in on Wemby, man.
I am too, and it's about the fantasy gold here. Victor Wembanyama is going to give you threes. He's going to give you blocks. He's going to give you steals. Who's going to have the better PRA line, the points, rebounds, and assists? Nikola Jokic, okay? Is Wemby going to get up to 27, 28 points per game? Maybe. Is Wemby going to get to, where's Jokic at about 12 rebounds per game? Yeah, probably going to get there. Is Wemby going to get to 9.8 assists per game? No, he is not. I think Wemby's going to be at about 5 assists per game. And I think that's going to be like the big Jokic pro if you're putting these two guys up against each other. But Wemby is going to be, I think, well north of 2-3 balls per game. Has a chance to block between 4 and 5 shots per game and put up nutty block numbers that we have not seen. Doc, you probably got to go back to, I don't even know if Ben Wallace was doing that. You probably got to go back to like Mutombo and Hakeem in the 90s. I think we got to go back that far for a block number like Wemby's going to put up. I think Wemby could be 2 steals per game. So now we're talking about like a Gerald Wallace guy. You remember Gerald Wallace. I love Gerald Wallace. That year when he had 2 blocks and 2 steals per game. Didn't last very long. Okay, he had his pop, and then that was kind of it. But I remember that year from Gerald Wallace. So I'm on Wemby here, Doc. It's about the fantasy gold. All right, I understand the assists, and Jokic is 2 players for the price of 1, giving you the dime time from the center position. But you know what, Doc? There's all kinds of guards out there. Okay, you can take Mike Conley in the 10th round and get 6 dimes a game. All right. So you're going to be able to get those. But what you're not going to be able to draft outside of the one hole is this one-stop shop for threes, blocks, and steals. He is going to have, Doc, the highest fantasy gold ratio of anybody in the NBA. Okay, and that's something that I'll probably work on for us here, just to kind of rank it and give people that idea where we take every stat out, we just look at blocks, steals, and threes, and who's got the highest ratio of that. I think Wemby's going to have the highest ratio in the league on that.
Yeah, again, to me, I'm not even considering it. If I get the number 1 pick, I'll be asking you if I can borrow your sweet pink and yellow Wemby jersey that I can wear to my draft, because that's who I'm taking number 1.
All right, so let's move on here, Doc. We've got Luka Doncic, 3.1 ADP. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 4.1 ADP. Who you taking and why?
Well, I've been leading the Luka bandwagon since before he came in the league. I have to stay with that now for the rest of his career. I'm still laugh and enjoy watching these videos of him shooting trick shots that show up on my Facebook and Twitter all the time, and I just love Luka's game, man. And I love Shai though too. Like if Luka's gone and I can get Shai, I'm all in. That's just how it is. Now I don't think I'll be able to get like Luka and Wemby on the same team as I have in the past, or because Wemby's going to be going so early. But man, Dallas made it to the finals last year, which I don't think anybody saw that coming. I mean, how is Dallas going to be that good if all they have is Luka and Kyrie? And then they ended up getting there and being one of the better teams in the league. And had they not gone through a little early season slump, I think they would have even been a higher seed, and Luka would have got more love for the MVP award. But I think Luka's going to win the MVP of the NBA this year, and there's your fantasy genius right there.
All right, my friend. I'm also on Luka here. This is a really good debate, and I think a lot of managers are really going to be, kind of tripped up with this and losing sleep at night. Like if you're in, let's just say, all right, Jokic and Wemby go 1 and 2, you're in the 3 hole. Who do you go with? I think a lot of people are going to have, as the clock is ticking, if you have a minute on the clock or whatever, a lot of people, oh my gosh, Luka SGA. I would take Luka, Doc, and here's why. Last year, 34 points, 9 rebounds, almost 10 assists. One of these years, he's probably going to average a triple-double. It might be this year. You've got Klay Thompson, so now you've got, another mouth to feed, another finisher. He was at 9.8 assists last year, adding Kyrie Irving, a great finisher, and so, it got to sort of dot the I. And he had Jalen Brunson, right? But Jalen Brunson was a different guy back then than Kyrie is right now. Jalen Brunson obviously has ascended, maybe even past Kyrie at this point. But when Brunson was in Dallas, he was on the ascent. He was becoming the player he is now. So he wasn't, the goodie fest that Kyrie is right now. My point is this. They got lots of finishers. You've got the 2 bigs to lob to, okay? P.J. Washington can make a shot. Klay Thompson's going to be at 18 points per game, I believe. Kyrie Irving's going to be somewhere between 20 and 25 points per game. So I could see Luka this year getting up to 10 assists per game. Is he going to get to 10 rebounds per game? I don't know. He was at 9.2 last year, which is just off of his career high of 9.4. Certainly, it's possible. So I like that aspect. Luka, the hit that he is going to take head up with SGA is in the defensive categories, all right? SGA is basically Michael Jordan reincarnated, not with the jets and the hops and all that stuff, but with the 1 block and the 2 steals per game. You could say he's Dwayne Wade-ish that way, all right? I love those guys. 1 block, 2 steals from a 2-guard spot? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. And SGA is going to give that to you again this year. Luka, the last 2 years, has been at 1.4 steals. That's a good number for him. I'm okay with that, and he's at a 0.5 block per game. So SGA is living, Doc, at a 3 stock ratio, okay, right at 3. Luka's basically at 2. So SGA is giving you 1 more stock per game than Luka, all right, when you really condense it and boil it down. It's noteworthy, it's significant, but what is Luka doing to Shai in the 3-ball category, okay? Luka last year, Doc, your boy, was at 4 threes per game. 4, okay? And so let's say that number comes down a little bit this year off of his career high. Where's it going to come down to? 3.5, right? It's going to be a huge... He's going to be top 5 in threes made. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander last year made 1.3 threes per game. The year before, he made 0.9. Bam. That's your answer right there, Doc. That's why I go Luka. I understand that I'm giving up defense on the Shai side, but I'm giving up too many threes if I go with the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander side.
Rick, you were talking yesterday about how great Zion Williamson looks this lately. The pictures we've seen. Looks like he's cut in shape. Luka, on the other hand, looks a little bit more like the Pillsbury Doughboy. He's put on, I don't know. I mean, I haven't hung out with Luka, so I don't know exactly what he looks like. But
I thought you were pouring his vodka drinks this summer over in Slovenia. That's what I thought you were doing. Hey, Luka, do you need another? No, he does not need another. He needs two. He needs to get on a dang treadmill.
Any concerns there?
Yes. Yes, I have concerns there. Doc, Luka's a young guy. Luka hasn't figured it out yet, man. Luka has not matured. I'm not saying he's immature, but there's another level of mature, like Ja Morant and the gun stuff, right? That's just straight immature. Luka, to me, isn't immature. He just needs to mature. I hope the semantics of that makes sense to you all, right? It's like, he's got to take the maturity level from here to here because then he's going to win a championship, and only then is he going to win a championship. Doc, you have to get in better shape to close the deal, okay? Doughy boys don't win the ring. Doughy boys can't play the defense required to win the ring. Doughy boys can't have the fitness to last 8 months, okay? It's a 6-month regular season and a 2-month playoff grind. That's 8 months, okay? If you are fit, you can survive. If you are not fit, you get chewed into pieces by Boston, a team that's incredibly physically fit. And where is Bill Walton, who is always talking about fitness? May he rest in peace, okay? And Bill kind of hangs out over my left shoulder up here on something you can't see right now. But I guess I'll show the people here real quick. Boom. There you go. All right. But he was always talking about fitness, Doc. And I think a lot of people, here goes Bill talking about fitness. It's so freaking important. It's the basis for everything. All right. So I'm worried about Luka, Doc. Am I worried? Look, am I worried about Luka versus SGA in fantasy basketball? No, I'm not. Luka's going to work his way into shape throughout the season. He's going to be doughboy at the beginning of the year. And around December, January, he'll start looking like, a ball player again here, okay? But I need Luka to take this thing more seriously, Doc, because guess what? He's not a killer. He's not. He's an awesome player, a spectacular future Hall of Famer, all-time great, but he's not a killer. He's not Kobe. He's not LeBron. He's not Jordan. He's not Brady. He's not Jeter. He is not a killer, bro. He doesn't have to have the ring. Isaiah Thomas was a killer, bro. He had to win that ring. Isaiah Thomas, Doc, he grabbed me at NBA TV one night. We were talking about Chris Paul, and I was singing Chris Paul's praises. And Isaiah Thomas got mad at me, okay? He got mad at me. He's not really a huge Chris Paul guy, all right? And I was comparing Chris Paul's like will and how bad Chris Paul wants it to Isaiah's. And I hit a trigger with Isaiah. He did not like that. Isaiah said, he stood up from his seat and stood over me and said, get up. And I got up. And he, like it was love and like frustration all at once, right? But he had to prove a point to me. He said, you think Chris Paul wants it as much as I wanted it, right? I go, well, I'm starting to second guess that. And as I said that, Doc, he bear hugged me, okay? And all the air came out of me, all right? It might have done that back crack thing that they do, like when you grab somebody and, they know that little... anyway, yeah. And so he went, and like pythoned me, okay? And then he let go, and he said, does Chris Paul want it that much? I said, no. No, he doesn't want it that much. He goes, that's how bad you have to want it. That's how bad you have to want it. Isaiah told me another story. He said he's running laps on the beaches of California, somewhere in LA in the summertime. This is back in the day, right? Bad Boy Pistons. And he said he's out there running, and it's the middle of the summer, and he's getting his work in, right? Which Luka needs to be doing right now. And he said he's running and running and running. And it's just him and his wife there. And he goes back, and he grabs some water. And he said he's literally pouring sweat. Every hole in his body had sweat coming out of it, okay? And he's like gasping for air. He said his wife had no mercy. She said, are you done? And I think Isaiah was like, yeah. He said, Danny Ainge is running another lap right now. And Isaiah said, I went back out and I started running again. Okay, how bad do you want it, man? How bad do you want it? Luka doesn't want it that bad, Doc. Okay, so this is a bit of a reality take, born of a fantasy conversation here, because the fantasy numbers are going to be great. But it's to win the gold ball, you've got to be a killer, and Luka's not a killer to that degree.
Okay, that was intense. The stories were great. I don't know that I have anything to add on to that. I my only thing is the doughiness going to hurt him in fantasy? And you know, he hasn't really gotten hurt too much in his career. He's missed games because of ankles and whatnot. He steps on people's feet, but I don't think Luka's going to get hurt. I think he's gonna be okay, and I'm not hesitant at all to draft him.
Yeah, I'm not either. This is a pet peeve I have with Luka. Okay, so I tell you what I'm going to do, Doc. I'm gonna go off script here a little bit. We're gonna take a quick break here and come back and do ice pick in the eye trivia. But I want to go off script here a little bit because we have debated Wemby versus Jokic. We have debated Luka versus SGA. All right. Before we move on to Haliburton and Anthony Davis, I want to put in the player v player blender Luka and Jokic, because I think that if Wemby's one, okay, and we both agree he's one, like, is Jokic two or is Luka two? All right, so that's coming around the bend here a little bit. All right, so we're going to come back with ice pick in the eye trivia right after this quick break. It is Fantasy NBA Today, brought to you by Bet Online on Sports Ethos with Rick Kamla and Steve Alexander. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Fantasy NBA Today. Rick Kamla and FSWA Hall of Famer Steve Alexander. We'll get back to debating these ADP stars, guys that are very close in their average draft position. And like I said, and I promised you off script a little bit here, a Jokic versus Luka conversation, because their ADPs are very high, and I think a lot of people can really benefit from the conversation that's about to be had. We have trivia for you right now. Ice pick in the eye trivia, starting with Doc. Steph Curry and Luka Doncic were first and second in three-pointers made per game last season. Who ranked third?
I have no idea, but I'm going to say Tyrese Maxey.
I am going to say Dante DiVincenzo.
No.
I'm so bummed out. Dante was fourth. Oh my gosh. I'm so bummed out.
Dude,
I'm so bummed about that, man. I thought that was going to be a lap around the neighborhood.
I
really do. Take the shirt off and just run shirtless around the neighborhood in the rain right now, down here on the Gulf Coast of Florida.
Very, very angry about that. Damian Lillard.
Okay. Let me think about this for just a second. 3-pointers per game. It was Curry. Okay. This one's hard. This one is hard. I've really got to kind of scan my brain for this one. Why is this so hard for me right now? Donovan Mitchell.
Devin Booker. How long do we have to do this?
All right, I'm going. Doc. It's ice pick in the eye trivia time. I'm going to go mothballs with Klay Thompson.
I would not have.
I thought I nailed it, bro. I thought I nailed it with Klay. Okay, Doc, you're back up here, dude.
Freddie VanVleet.
Oh man. Third in threes per game last year. I will say, hold on a second here. It's popping out at me from the ethos. Wait a minute. Was it Desmond Bane? Klay was fifth, by the way. Andre Lemos is telling us here. Man, that was pretty close.
James Harden.
Oh man. This is actually crazy. Wait a minute. Was it Kyrie Irving?
Oh. I should have got that. That's it.
That was just a guess.
Damn, I thought that was it. Are we still going?
We're still going. This is this is.
I had a player, and now he is gone. Who was I going to say? Did I say Paul George yet?
You did not.
Do that.
All right.
The delay before the buzzer or the applause.
I'm going to the internet here, but not to look at the 3 list. I just want to look at a list of teams here, Doc. So I'm full transparency here. You already said Lillard, right?
Yeah.
You already said Lillard. Okay.
You said Kyrie.
Let's see here. Okay. Because I want to say a guy, but I can't say that guy. Oh boy. Wait a second. Is it CJ McCollum? I take no credit for that because there were 35 guesses by us right there. That was kind of pathetic by us. But it's Kamla. So are we was that it? Or do we have more Andre Lamosa's I'm on a 3-0 trivia run. Which I get is that do you guys need a timeout? Do you guys need a timeout? You guys need a 20-second timeout. You guys need to bank a 20.
I'd rather make my way to Florida than California. I'll just say that. This is going to be less painful. Although I was dominating this thing till you showed up, so
my guy Mike D'Antoni, he'd go, remember how D'Antoni would take a 20-second timeout? He'd go, he'd like bang his shoulders, so mad at the refs. Oh man, okay.
I'm excited about this conversation about Luka versus Jokic.
Yeah, so talk to me. Who are you going with here? Let's go off script, man. Luka and Jokic, because we agree Wemby's the number 1 guy. Who's number 2?
Well, they say that you should never bet or pick fantasy players with your heart, right? You do it with your head. But I kind of gave that up about 10 years ago. I was like, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm starting to get burned out. I just want to have players that I love. And I just started drafting my guys. And that's where that whole thing came from. And I'm still down with that. I want to have guys on my team that I can root for. And while most of my instinct and my head is telling me that Jokic is the guy to take, I think if I get the number 2 pick, let's say it's in 30 deep or it's in my home league, like leagues I really care about, I think I'm going to take Luka because I love Luka. I want him on my team. Honestly, Joker's so good and so automatic. He's almost robotic. He's almost like a professional golfer these days. He just goes out there, dominates without a lot of like flash or personality, and then they disappear and wait to do it again the next time. It's almost kind of boring. I mean, you just never. Jokic is boring in a good way. Like he's just a good dude. So I'm going with and I do think he's going to average a triple-double this year. Luka, that is. I think he's going to average a triple-double. I think he's going to win the MVP. I think this is a great year to take Luka at number 2.
I agree. Doc, I think that Luka's the pick here at number 2 over Nikola Jokic. Pardon me right there. I needed a brief break. So, Doc, I think we've really broken some ground here, okay? We are telling the people here on the Fantasy NBA Today podcast brought to you by BetOnline on Sport Ethos Fantasy Basketball that Nikola Jokic is the 3rd best fantasy basketball player. Think about that. How many people do you think on earth right now are walking around, Jokic, he's the best player in the world, so I give him that. You may not agree with that, but I think he's the best player in the world. But the best player in the world is the 3rd best fantasy player in the world. I think that would be like for a lot of people, all right? Luka is going to score way more than Nikola Jokic. Jokic last year was at 26. The year before 24, the year before 27. Luka's going to be, he was at 34 last year. If Luka comes back to earth a little bit, he'll be at like 32 or 31. He's going to score way more than Jokic. Okay? Jokic is going to rebound more than Luka, and he's going to do it by a lot. Jokic is going to be around 12 rebounds per game. Luka's going to be around 9. Okay, cool. Give that to Jokic. They're both going to be very similar in the assists. 9, 9.8, maybe get up to 10. Okay? And so they're going to be, that's a wash. That's a push. Defense, all right? Jokic is going to have a little bit of an advantage in the blocks and the steals. Jokic has gone in the stocks 2, 2.4, 2.0, 2.3. Right at about 2 stocks per game. Luka last year was at 1.9 stocks per game. So there might be like a 0.4 of a stock difference in Jokic's favor. That's nominal. I think we can all work with that. The difference, Doc, is a +3 per game in 3-pointers for Luka. That's massive. He was at 4 last year, 4.1. Jokic was at 1.1. Doc, I watched Jokic. I know you did as well. And our audience watched it as well. You watched Jokic in the playoffs against Minnesota. Okay, let me get his 3-point percentage in that series, because I'm telling you right now, it was so frustrating. Minnesota was like, dude, take it. We're giving it to you. 26% my man shot from 3 in the second round bow out to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And if you watch Serbia in the Olympics, okay, brickfest from 3-ball land, okay? And it was a shorter 3-point line. He's got the high arcing clang, high arcing brick, high arcing, okay? Like the 3 game has drifted away from Nikola Jokic right now. So we're talking about a difference of 3 threes per game for Luka. To me, this is not debatable, Doc. Luka and Jokic, to me, is not debatable. Is the number 2 overall pick. It's not debatable.
Wow. So what we're saying is ADP is wrong. Like, everybody's taking Jokic 1 or 2. I don't think he's going 3 in hardly any leagues ever. And Luka is going 3 in almost every league. And we are fighting back on that and saying you're making a mistake. Luka's 2, Jokic is 3. I kind of love it, dude.
It's time for people, Doc, to not just go with what they know. You know, and it's probably not the right way to say that. Okay, it's like, trying to think of an example here. Jokic is not the number 1 fantasy pick. Okay, bottom line, he's not. And we love Jokic. It's not a bang on Jokic festival here. Nobody's hating on this dude. Okay, he's awesome. But I think a lot of people just assume, like, and I try to make a fantasy football analogy, Doc, but like in every single draft, Christian McCaffrey is the number 1 pick. In every single draft. I actually got the 1 hole in a league, and I wanted to be different. And I was like, I got to take Christian McCaffrey. You know what I mean? Like, it's you got to take CMC, number 1 overall. But in basketball, you do not, okay? So memo to everybody out there. Scream it to the world. You don't have to take Jokic with the 1st overall pick. Nobody's going to be mad at you. And in fact, he should go 3rd behind Wemby and behind Luka. All right, Doc, let's continue with our ADP player v. player battles here with Tyrese Haliburton at a 7.2 ADP against Anthony Davis with a 7.8 ADP. Who you got?
Well, as we alluded to yesterday, Anthony Davis played a lot of games last year. A lot more games than I thought he was going to play, a lot more games than he has played in his recent past, and I was sort of shocked by it. And I still have some trust issues there. Meanwhile, Tyrese never quite looked right after he hurt his back. He got beat for the MVP at home in the All-Star game. He just didn't look right after that, and I didn't like it. He also got a rude awakening at the Olympics when he hardly even played for that team. He wasn't in the rotation. I mean, that had to be kind of weird for him, going from being the man and the guy that everybody's looking up to take care of things all the time, to just sit at the end of the bench with Tatum. We don't really need you. So I think it's going to be an interesting season for Tyrese. But I will say this. I trust Tyrese a lot more health-wise than I do Anthony Davis. I also am very excited to see what the Pacers are going to do. I think they're a team nobody's talking about that's going to be pretty good. And I think Tyrese has slowly emerged as one of the best point guards the NBA has. So I'm going to go with Tyrese just mainly because AD can win you a league, man. If he stays healthy, AD can win you a league. But I just don't trust him to stay healthy.
This is a tough one, man. This is a tough one. We've been pretty clear-cut, I think a lot of clarity on the previous conversations. Doc, I got to be honest with you, and I prepped for the show and was, looking at stuff and thinking about this. It's still an I don't know for me. It is, I lean towards Davis, and here's why. Anthony Davis's stats are more rare than Haliburton's stats. Anthony Davis is at a 25, a 12, a 3, almost 3 blocks, 1 to 1.5 steals. Okay? And that's in an ideal world where he's healthy and clicking and all that kind of stuff. Hallie is a 20 and 10 point guard. Okay. Doc, look, like I said, I'm conflicted. Tyrese Haliburton has created his own stat category, and I'm not sure how many people know this. Nobody in the history of basketball has averaged 20 points, 10 assists, and 40% from three-point range in a season in NBA history, other than Tyrese Haliburton. He's the only guy. He has created his own stat category, okay? So there's that, and he's phenomenal. I do have injury hiccups with Tyrese Haliburton. He had the hamstring last year. He reportedly had an injury with Team USA, which they said, I think it was more a rotational thing, and Kerr didn't want to play him because he was full and all that kind of stuff. But they said that there was an MRI and some kind of an injury. Read into that what you will. But look, it's tough. But Doc, I feel like I'm kind of going to be on a big man thing this year, Doc, because especially the big men that give you the fantasy gold. Like, again, a Bam Adebayo, that he's not invited to this party, okay? You're giving me 1 block, you're giving me 1 steal, you're giving me no threes, okay? I don't really do business with Bam Adebayo. I don't really do a whole lot of business with Nikola Vucevic, okay? Although he does give you some threes, but it's not the pop that I'm looking for. I'm looking for big bang, all right? So I feel like I can get some guard goodies later on in the draft, Doc, and I'm not going to get 20 points and 10 assists with 40% from 3, but I'm going to get guard goodies later in the draft. I'm not going to get Anthony Davis goodies later in the draft, so I'm going Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I like the rareness of the stats comment. Like, the stuff that Anthony Davis does is just harder to come by than what Tyrese does. It's just a fact. Yeah, I mean, if you want to take Anthony Davis at 4 or 5, go for it. But I don't think I can. I don't think I can do it. I
don't know about all that.
But I
don't know about 5. I don't know about that high.
And it also depends on if you've got Wemby or Jokic. If you got Wemby or Jokic, you're probably taking Haliburton. If you got, Luka, you're probably taking Davis. I think. So interesting.
Right. So, and this one's another mind buster, Doc. It is Fantasy NBA Today. Rick Kamla and Steve Alexander, FSWA Hall of Famer. Joel Embiid and Jason Tatum. Joel Embiid an 8.7 ADP. Jason Tatum at a 9.5 ADP. Who you got?
I'd rather not have either one of them, honestly. But if I'm picking between those two, I'm taking Tatum all day. I am out of the Joel Embiid injury contest. I am done.
There's been a theme for you on the 2 podcasts that we have done. You have a queasy stomach, I've noticed, and I'm not mad at you, Doc. I share that queasy stomach about a lot of guys, but you got like you need, what is it, Dramamine? Like you get motion sickness, right? Like you got some hangups with some dudes, man, and you are just out.
I'm out on Embiid, and the Olympics didn't do anything to help it either, dude. It looked like he was running in quicksand, and Team USA is out there flying down the beach with you and Isaiah Thomas, like just running past everybody, and Embiid's like 3 feet deep into the water, just chugging along, like just so tired and holding everybody up, and I can't get behind it, man. And Paul George is gonna throw another wrench in the whole thing. I don't know.
Look, for different reasons and the same reasons, I'm with you. I would take, if I was positioned with this Embiid or Tatum, oh man, but this is a keep you up at night because, Doc, I am a swing for the fences guy, and the fences are Joel Embiid. The Aaron Judge is Joel Embiid, okay? in theory, he's going to have a better year. In theory, he can be the best fantasy basketball player on earth, or get really close to it. Tatum can't. Tatum, even if he like really kicks butt this year and gets back to 30 points per game, which he was 2 years ago, he's still going to be like a first-round pick value, but he's not going to be like the best fantasy player out there, okay? So there's more upside with Joel Embiid, but, Doc. And I know that I'm rolling the dice here, and I know the injury thing with Anthony Davis, but I feel good about him versus Haliburton. And so I don't want to be a flip-flopper or a contradictory here, but I am going to hearken that as I talk about Joel Embiid. Because, Doc, and it's really more of a Tatum thing. Doc, you know what I love about Jason Tatum? This dude doesn't miss games, all right? He's like the low-key, nobody knows about Mikal Bridges. He played 74 games last year, played 74 games the year before, played 76 games the year before. In the pandemic years, he played 64 and 66 games, okay, and those were truncated seasons. Then he played 79, then he played 80. That is one of the best attendance records over the last 7 years in the NBA. He loves to play. He loves this game. Late in the year, when last year when they had the huge lead and they had really nothing to play for the whole second half, he insisted on playing. I was reading about this. So like, we want to find you a break. He said, I don't want to take games off. Okay, that's our guy. And he was at 27 points per game, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.0 steals, 0.6 blocks. Blocks is the buzzkill when you put him up against Embiid. But here's the thing. Jason Tatum, Doc, has been at 3 threes per game 3 years in a row. He's been 2.9 threes per game or better 5 years in a row. So what you're going to lose defensively head up with Embiid, you're going to get back with the 3 game. And so I say Jason Tatum, Doc. We're on the same page with that. All right, let's move ahead here. It is Rick Kamla. It is Steve Alexander, FSWA Hall of Famer, Fantasy NBA Today, brought to you by BetOnline. And we're on the Sports Ethos platform, specifically talking fantasy hoops with you all. We're the OGs. We've been around the block a time or two. Anthony Edwards, ADP of 10.9. Stephen Curry, ADP of 11.6. Doc, take your shot.
Man, this is tough because Steph is one of the greatest of all time. He's still Steph. I think he's still got it, even though he's old, and is the up-and-coming kid that we saw destroy Kevin Durant in the playoffs. Dude, that 2-week run he went on in the playoffs.
I know.
2 weeks. For 2 weeks, he was the best player on the planet. Like, it was just otherworldly. He had the dunk of the year. He had the block of the year last year. Just incredible highlight reel stuff. And he's so, I don't know if he's cocky, but he's so cocky, dude. He's so confident in his abilities. He thinks he's the best player in the NBA. Like, all of that is so kind of fun. But he also goes for it pretty hard. And some of the stats, some of the shooting numbers can be a little can be a little wonky. He turns the ball over some, and I just don't know if he's got that all-around rebounds, assist game to become, a top 5 player. But he's kind of close. He was the number 1 pick out of Georgia. I think if I'm picking between those two guys, I'm going to take Anthony Edwards in the 10 fewer years or whatever their age differences are. I think I'm going to go for the health and safety and just the fact that Curry's on the way down, Ant is on the way up. Rick, you like to swing for the fences. I don't think there's a bigger swing for the fences than banking on a huge Ant year.
Doc, I'm with you, and I love all of your rationales. I just want to add this. My favorite thing what you said is you got Steph Curry. He's still great. We give it to Steph. But his career arc is like this, okay? It's the plateau, and it's maybe the very beginning of the descent, okay? Still a massive fantasy player. Ant-Man has a rocket ship attached to his back right now. His arrow is not pointing up like a stock where it's kind of like taking the diagonal like increase. It's going straight up like a rocket ship into the air, okay? He's gone up in points every year. 19 to 21 to 24 last year was 26. Doc, I think Anthony Edwards is going to be at 28 points per game this year. Okay? His rebounds were 5.8 and then 5.4. He's got a chance to get up to 6 boards per game. He'll be right at 5, though, solid guard numbers. His assists, all right, have gone up each year. 2.9, 3.8, 4.4, 5.1. Is it crazy to think he gets to 6 assists per game this year? Or 5.8, okay? I don't think it is. So we're talking about 28, 5, and 6, all right? Now we're getting into Kobe, Jordan. Like, that's a Kobe Jordan stat line. He was at 1.6 steals last year, fell off to 1.3. Ant-Man, so I feel like he's more of a 1.5 steal guy than a 1.3 steal guy. So I think we're going to get an uptick there. He was at 0.7 blocks, fell back to 0.5 blocks, all right? Like, can we get closer to 1 here? I think we can. I just think this is his age 23 season. He's entering year 5. And he's a very safe pick, guys. He does not miss games. His attendance reads 72, 72, 79, 79. Like Jason Tatum, he insists on playing in games. The efficiency, Doc, is on the ascent in all of the categories year after year. All right? In the 3-ball game, he was at 3, then 2.7, then 2.4. So the threes per game is declining a little bit, but if he spikes up to 28 a game, that trend is going to reverse, and he's going to start getting back up towards 3 threes per game. And on the Steph side, Doc, I really don't want to say a whole lot negative other than I just think he's at the plateau, the beginning of the descent, and I think Ant-Man's got the rocket ship attached to his back. And I think we're going to get more defensive goodies from Ant-Man than from Steph Curry. So I say Ant-Man, Doc.
I do too, and I'm not going to be mad if Steph Curry falls to me in my draft. Like, I have no problem drafting Steph Curry this season. But like we were talking about with Luka not having that killer instinct like Kobe and Jordan had, I don't know if Ant-Man has killer instinct, but he wants to hurt people, and he wants to embarrass people, and he wants to go over people and through them, and he doesn't care. And I don't know if that is killer instinct, but that is something I want on my fantasy team.
Doc, let me tell me if you are vibing out on this. Let me put a brick on top of the brick that you just laid in the foundation there. I feel like Ant-Man does have the killer instinct. He just doesn't know how to use it yet. You know what I'm saying? He's just too young. He's too brash and young. He's like the horse in the stable that just is wild and bucking everybody off of him, right? And he just hasn't figured it out yet. He's got the killer instinct. He just doesn't know how to use it. It's like he's got the superhero ability. He just doesn't know how to use it yet.
Yeah, I do think he's got killer instinct. Like, it's in his body. It just hasn't risen all the way to the surface yet. It's like it's coming out, but it's just not there yet. And imagine how many more rebounds he would get if he didn't play with 2 huge centers. Like, that would help his rebound game also. But 6 this year, I think he can do it.
Great point. Kate Cunningham's rebounds have kind of evaporated with Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Durant, right? Grabbing all the rebounds there. I thought Kate Cunningham was going to be a 6, 7, 8 rebound per game guy. They have other ideas up there in Detroit. All right, it is Fantasy NBA Today here, brought to you by BetOnline. Rick Kamla and Steve Alexander, FSWA Hall of Famer. One more before we catch a quick break here, Doc. Trae Young, ADP of 12. Domantas Sabonis, an ADP of 12.3. Pick.
Dude, I like this Trae versus Sabonis question because I think last year or maybe the year before, both of those, I would have said Sabonis. Brewski talks a lot about Sabonis' lack of blocks. It's a problem. And DeJounte Murray's not in Atlanta anymore. And Trae is going to have one of those fingers up in the air a few seasons, I think, and come back and go off. So I'm all in on Trae here. It's not really that close for me.
So speaking of Aaron Brewski, the Brewski 150 is under construction right now. It'll be in our draft guide, so keep your eye on that. And we'll have Aaron back on the podcast next week, and it'll be us three for the majority of these podcast, schedules and little pop-up stuff. Notwithstanding, Doc, I think I agree with you. I just read on Hoops Hype the other day that Brian Windhorst was talking about he's not sure if Trae Young will be a max player on his next contract. What? Okay. You've got Trae Young can't make an all-star team unless Adam Silver sends him there. Trae Young isn't even on the radar for USA Basketball, Doc. Okay? He might be in their pool, all right? But was he close to making that team? No. Wasn't even a conversation. This is one of the greatest stat point guards of all time, all right? I mean, his stats are crazy. Doc, how many times watching Atlanta Hawks games do they put up? Trae Young, first player in NBA history to do, first player in Hawks history since Dominique Wilkins to do this. Like, he makes history all the time. He's a historic player. But, Doc, the league doesn't really like him very much right now. They just don't. He's gotten two coaches whacked, Lloyd Pierce and Nate McMillan. So now the coaches fraternity has turned on him. That's why he can't make an all-star game despite all-star numbers unless Adam Silver comes in to make it right. This is going to be a double bleep you season from Trae Young with the invisible middle fingers here. It's a family show, okay? So he's got that, and he's got the no DeJounte thing. And essentially, Trae Young, I think, got him out of town. Trae Young was on the podcast saying, it's disappointing, man. Like, sometimes it just doesn't work out. Why not go to bat for your guy that you wanted so bad to go there to Atlanta? Trae Young is going to have an uptick of a season, and Domantas Sabonis, to me, is going to have a downtick of a season because there's going to be sacrifice involved in Sacramento with DeMar DeRozan going out there. And, Doc, the guys that I think are going to have to sacrifice the most are Malik Monk. Hold on a second here real quick. I'll do it during the break here. I got to I set an alarm here. I got to make sure if Alex Bregman is playing or not in a big time fantasy baseball. It's the week before the playoffs begin, so I got to vet if Alex Bregman is playing or not, and I'll do that in a second here. But Doc, somebody's got to sacrifice in Sacramento, and I don't think it's going to be De'Aaron Fox. And I kind of don't really think it's going to be DeMar DeRozan, Doc. I think they got him for a reason, to dot I's and cross T's. I think Sabonis is going to have to take a little bit of a haircut. I think Monk is going to have to take a big haircut. And I think Keegan Murray is going to drop a little bit statistically as well. So for all those reasons, I say Trae Young over Domantas Sabonis head-to-head in our ADP game here. All right, so we'll come back and we'll play the ADP player v. player game here. With Chet Holmgren and Kevin Durant. It is Rick Kamla. It is Steve Alexander. We are Fantasy NBA Today. Welcome back to Fantasy NBA Today, brought to you by Bet Online. Rick Kamla, FSWA Hall of Famer. Steve Alexander, a.k.a. Dr. A. We're the OGs, and we're on the Sports Ethos Fantasy Basketball platform here. Missing Aaron Bruski this week. We'll have him back here very, very soon. Shout out to our boy, Aaron Bruski, a.k.a. Brew. Doc, Kevin Durant, 14.2 ADP. Chet Holmgren, your guy, 16.0 ADP. Player v. player, who are you picking?
I think I'm going Kevin Durant, which is weird. He's old. He's bald. He got abused by his name just slipped my mind. Ant, the guy we talked about 5 minutes ago. This is what happens when you get old, people. Do not get old. Anyway, whenever I say Ant, I always go back to Ant Rand, Anthony Randolph. And then it just throws my whole game off, and then I'm confused, and I don't even know what's going on. But
hilarious.
I feel like Chet Holmgren is one of my guys. I love Chet. I want Chet on my teams. I'm a little confused about what's going to happen with him with Isaiah Hartenstein around. We got Alex Caruso in there to mix things up a little bit. Like, I'm not worried about Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City's going to win it all. Like, they are set. They are awesome. I love that team. I'm confused about what it's going to do to some of the fantasy numbers. And one of the guys I'm a little confused about is Chet Holmgren. I'm not staying away from Chet. I'm not avoiding Chet, but Kevin Durant is not done yet. he still has game. He still has something to prove. And, Phoenix was bad last year. And he's probably got a bad taste in his mouth. I think him and Devin Booker are going to come out this year and try to right the wrongs that happened last year.
Doc, I'm very concerned about injuries. But he played 75 games last year, okay? 75 games for Kevin Durant. You know why? The 65-game rule. And you know what, Doc? And you know what?
What?
Look, me and Antonio Daniels, 2 or 3 years ago, were complaining about load management. And we said the league needs a 65-game minimum rule. I'm just saying, we got a rather large platform at NBA Radio. The league office listens to our show. And a year later, we have a 65-game rule in the NBA. Coincidence?
So not only are you the
or not
inventor of fantasy basketball, you also are a rules creator for the NBA front office. That's incredible. Your resume is incredible.
Possibly.
Okay.
I don't know.
I like
I
it.
cannot
I can get behind
substantiate
it.
this.
I like it.
What I know is that we were the first on planet Earth talking about a 65-game minimum threshold for the NBA to get guys to play games more. That's all I know. And then a year later, boom, new rule ratified. Boom, Kawhi freaking Leonard and Paul freaking George played games last year, Doc.
Everybody
Come
did.
on.
It's
Everybody
like reverse load management is happening.
So I say Kevin Durant, Doc, for all the reasons that you said. Is there any doubt, Doc, that Kevin Durant's going to have a better overall stat line than Chet Holmgren? The only reason this is a debate is games played, right?
I mean, Chet is going to block in 3. But, yeah, I mean, to me, Kevin Durant's a better fantasy player than Chet Holmgren. That's why I'm taking him. And, I mean, Durant had that one weird injury year, but doesn't he usually play in 72 to 78 games, or am I wrong?
Who Durant?
Yeah.
No, his injury history has been horrible. Before the 75, it was 47, 55, 35, 0, then 78, 68, 62. Then it was okay. But when he went to Brooklyn, Doc, it went boom, the bottom fell out. And he barely played.
Well, and I didn't mess with him when he was in Brooklyn. I stayed away, so I haven't drafted Kevin Durant in a long time. Because I was still thinking he was a fairly reliable player. Clearly, that's not the case. But I know he played a ton of games last year. I know he's got to be ticked off about how last year went. I think he's going to be on another guy who might be on somewhat of a revenge tour. So, yeah, I think I would go Kitty.
Doc, let's do one more and we'll get out of here. And I just want to say this. Shout out to Andre Lemos for coming up for this bit. The ADP battle. I think this is absolutely awesome. And so we have a bunch more on the list here, Doc. But guess what? We can just fire them up the next time we come back on here. And, we'll go deeper, right? We'll get, some ADP of, 55.3 against, 61.1 and kind of put some guys together. But I really like this bit. All right, one last ADP battle for you, Doc. Go first on this one. And this one is possibly a real head shrinker. Jalen Brunson at 21.4 ADP. LeBron James at 21.9 ADP.
I'm going with Brunson. Brunson is one of my guys. He used to play for Dallas. I loved him in Dallas. I knew he was going to go off in New York. I knew he was going to go off. And he's done exactly what I thought was going to happen when he got to New York. And he is New York. He is the Knicks. That is his team. And yes, LeBron, the Lakers are LeBron's team. But the only people on LeBron's team are LeBron and Anthony Davis. And J.J. Redick is getting dragged along for the ride. I don't know how that's going to go. But between LeBron's age, the games played, the load management, everything else, give me the kid, man.
Doc, this one's tough, man. This one's tough for me. Jalen's going to score more points. All right? Maybe not by a lot. LeBron was at 25.7 last year. I think Brunson's coming back with Mikal Bridges, with a healthy OG Anunoby, with a healthy Julius Randle. I don't think he's going to be. Remember after the break in the second half last year, he was 31 points and 7 assists. I don't think that's going to happen. LeBron 7.3 rebounds. He's going to be like double Brunson in that category. LeBron last year was at 8.3 assists, which is going to be quite a bit more than Jalen Brunson, who I think is going to be in the 6s for assists per game next year. The defense is going to be kind of a wash. LeBron was at a half a block and 1.3 steals. I think Brunson will be around there, maybe a little bit below. LeBron was at 2.1 threes last year. Brunson, I think, was at 2.7. So a little bit of an advantage for Brunson there. The efficiency, like LeBron James with the field goal percentage, is like way out. He was 54% last year, which is unbelievable with all the perimeter shots that he takes. This is this is a meltdown in my brain going on right now. Okay, I don't like Jalen Brunson. I love Jalen Brunson. I have a Brunson jersey, okay, and I am not a Knicks fan. He's my guy. He and Wemby are my favorite players in the NBA right now. I also have a LeBron jersey to commemorate winning the chip in the Cam Dynasty. I had to kind of stamp that. Every time I look at that LeBron jersey, Doc, I get happy. I think about that Cam Dynasty championship, man. Doc, the bottom line is that stat line in that game we just played right there, that's a pretty... there's not like, it heavily tilts to this guy, right? It's like for every tit, there's a tat for the other guy. So to me, it's going to come down to availability. And Jalen Brunson is a guy that always plays hurt. Okay, and LeBron is a guy, he played last year, 71 games. All of the previous years in LA were horrible attendance years. Okay, so for that reason, I'm going to say Jalen Brunson. But that is Doc. I'm going to change my answer here. Here's why I'm going to change my answer, Doc. I told you, like, this is a really tough one. I'm changing my answer, and we're going to get out of here, okay? Here's why I'm changing my answer. I need forwards and centers this year. I know that when you get to round 4, 5, 6, it's gone. They're all gone. Every one of them's gone. When you get to rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, there are still guards there. They're not Jalen Brunson, but there will be guards there, okay? Like a Darius Garland, okay, versus a forward like a P.J. Washington, okay? So I'd rather have LeBron James and Darius Garland or like a Jalen Brunson and a P.J. Washington. I'd rather have Bron and Garland. And you know, it could be a little bit off there. I'm just giving you some players on the fly as an example here. So I do say LeBron James there in the ADP battle between he and Brunson.
A lot of people like to claim that assist is a really rare, hard to get category. And I feel like you are not feeling that. Like, to me, blocks are tough. Like, blocks are tougher, steals are tougher. But once the good point guards are gone, they're gone. But there's a point guard on every NBA team. So there's 30 of them out there. So as long as you get a couple, you're fine. But I'm kind of with you, man. Small forwards are just gone. They are gone.
Think about
so
this,
fast.
Doc. Do you kind of think Chris Paul's going to have a decent year this year in San Antonio?
I
Giving
do.
you 8 or 9 assists per game? And is Chris Paul not going to be available very, very late in drafts?
I'd be comfortable having Conley and Chris Paul as two of my starting point guards. I'd be fine with that.
I'm just saying. Guys, trust us when we say centers get them early before they are gone. You are not going to get Brunson later in a draft, but you're going to get guards that fill some of those categories later in drafts. Doc, we're out. You the absolute man. You be well. Say hi to Bob Rathbun for me. Go Braves. Let's get a little goodies from Alex Bregman tonight. That's my boy, Steve Alexander, FSWA Hall of Famer. Shout out to Aaron Bruski, who will be back with us very soon. Shout out to our producer, Andre Lemos. Follow us on Twitter, at Dr. A. That's DOCKTORA, at Rick Kamla Sports. Give us a follow. Follow us at Ethos Fantasy NBA. Check out the Sports Ethos Draft Guide. It is live, including our own pieces. Subscribe to the podcast, and if you like it, give us a 5-star review. This episode was presented by Bet Online, and we'll see you very, very soon here with the Fantasy NBA Today Fantasy Basketball Podcast.